Did you press record? Yes. I'm Max. I'm a founder and CEO of Accel Club. At Accel Club, we're building new generation of Unilever, as we call it. So we're building a global consumer products company. We basically sell products on Amazon, and we build portfolio of different product categories. And we enter every new product category by acquiring the Amazon seller and then scaling it and increasing the market share inside the niche, and in the end, monopolizing the category. And then just going one category by another and then another. That's the way we build and scale the company. Currently, around 100. I didn't count, but in my previous company, when I quit, I had like roughly 400 people. Obviously, I didn't hire all of them, but there was some certain rotation over time. So it might be, 500 to 1,000 interviews maybe. I think I share the approach, except for the number maybe, because I don't know if it's feasible to hire like every person in the team. However, I do agree that it's the most important in the very beginning when you build a new company from scratch to hire maybe up to 100 people when you do all hirings yourself, or you participate in the hiring process, because you set up the culture of the team. So you look for people that you believe fit the organization, your vibes, your culture, your work ethics, your goals. And when you already have established team that works well for a few years, it can roll over and it's less demanding from your side. Well, first of all, it's more of a conversation. I think the things that I'm looking at when talking to people, when interviewing, is first of all, ownership. So what we care in the company is that it very much depends on what type of company you're building. But in our case, we like to give people power to make decisions. And that comes with responsibility from their side. That's why we're looking for people who are deeply responsible for what they're doing and for the success of the company. So that comes first, and then your own success within the team, within your career. So ownership is something that we're looking at. And how can you check it? Just asking questions about previous experience, looking whether the person takes responsibilities for failures. Usually it comes with failures, because when you have success, there are a lot of people who are, participate in success, but when it comes to failures, it's very few who stay. And it's important that the person shares the responsibility for failures. Second, I would say we call it honesty. On one hand, we mean like full transparency in the processes in the company. Like we like to share everything with everyone, so we don't hide any numbers. If we fail in something, we want to discuss it immediately. And second, when it comes to personality, again, we look for people with self-awareness, and we are very open with each other as a team, and we understand that everyone has its own weaknesses, and we are very open to talk about it. I feel okay to talk about my weaknesses with my team. And once they see it, again, it takes time, but everyone becomes open and more relaxed and open to share their vulnerabilities. And that allows to, first of all, make more tight connections between people. And second, also to see where our weakness points are as a team. So maybe we should hire someone who has the expertise that we don't have. Maybe we should find someone to talk to together some knowledge that we don't have, etc., etc. I'm Eastern European, so I would say 7, but if I were Western European, I would say 9.
Okay.
My answer to that will be, in order to be able to identify world-class people, you need to have experience with them, working with them. You either need to be one of them. It's the best way to find people of the same level, or you need to have experience interviewing or working with them somewhere. So the best way to learn how to hire and how to identify the world-class people is actually see them before. In many cases, many people And then from quantity, it comes to quality. When you already saw what is perfection, what it means to work with cool people, you will identify it immediately when you see them. I wouldn't say that I was learning from someone. Obviously, I was learning, and I'm still learning from people I meet and I talk to. However, the deep learning and deep understanding of the process comes from your own personal experience. At least this is my experience. And for me, it came with quantity. Mm-hmm. So first 20, 50 hires were for sure the worst that I did. And then it started to improve. And decision-making process became easier. And it's easier to say yes, no, because initially you're not confident. You're not sure if you identify things right. And sometimes you give people chances where you don't need to give chances, and you should stop wasting your time on it. So I would say it was learning by doing for sure in my case. Well, it very much depends on the role, because you're looking for different people for different roles. And in that sense, I'm not looking at certain characteristics, I would say, maybe only those that I mentioned, like that describes the personality, like ownership and honesty. The rest is very much depends on the role. When you start the company, you need to hire outliers, because when you hire like well-rounded people, they usually are very successful in big corporations, because you need to have like soft power, dealing with a lot of stakeholders, however, not taking responsibility for the real result. When you're a small startup, you don't have everything surrounding you. And the only thing that you need to do is just to bring the result. That's it. No matter how you do that, having no resources, having no brand behind you. So it's very different type of people. It's different type of personalities. So you need to hire outliers. And most of the time, they might look ugly, like strange, sometimes not fitting this well-rounded expectations from the professional that you expect, polished professional from big corporation. So we're always looking for that strengths that people have, and we definitely would prefer to hire the person with some big strengths in something, but weaknesses in all the rest. And we try to turn the role around this person. So we don't try to fit the person in the role, but we try to change the roles within the team if we see that setup works better. And sometimes that might be a pretty weird combination of responsibilities and areas that people run after.
That's super interesting. So you look for ownership, you look for honesty, and then you look for something that they really excel in.
Yes.
Something that they're really outstanding in, like something where there's a clear spike.
Yeah. Again, it's a very cultural thing. So people are different, and it very much depends on what country the candidate comes from. However, I see the pattern that the biggest winners and people who deliver themselves, they're quite humble, because I explain it in the way that they came through some difficult decisions. They had some big results, and they understand that life is not that simple as it's written in the books, or you find it on YouTube channels or whatever, when there are like 5 ways to be successful or whatever. Life is more complicated than that. And in fact, in real life, you don't know how things work, and you need to figure out it while doing something, building something. Usually people that are humble, but at the same time ambitious. So when I see the combination of being humble and ambitious, that's a clear sign for me that this guy or this lady might be a big winner long term. Yeah, probably when people oversell themselves, or when they don't sound clear to me. Like when I ask a question, then I hear the reply, but it's difficult for me to catch the sense, the real meaning of what they say. It usually means that it's a waste of time. For sure, there was one mistake, which is, I think, very common for the young managers, is when you give people chance. once you get more experience of working with people, you're much easier. You understand whether the person fits, and you see him or her long term in the team, and it's much easier and faster decision making process. Yeah. So my mistake was that I was trying to give people chances, to wait for a few months more, try to find new job for inside the company for the person, when the right decision was just to fire and look for another person. In Accel Club, we had a pretty interesting hiring in the very beginning. Like, first of all our C-level team is a team that we hired in the first 6 to 8 months of the company. And we are now 5 years old, and the team is still there. So from the very beginning, we were able to hire very senior people, and they joined us because they like the idea, and we are still working together.
Amazing. That's also a good lesson for candidates.
It was a sign for us that, wow, that's a commitment.
Yeah. And it's also a testament to the team that you hired in the beginning that they're still all here.
Yeah.
Right? Because the market has been up and down and going through different, so the fact that the whole core team
we were near to bankruptcy for the last 2 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that the whole team is still here, the core team, that's impressive. Do you think that says something about the people that you chose and picked?
I think that, first of all, it's surprising even for me. I never saw something like that, and it's not my first company. And usually in startups, you have pretty big rotation of people, because once the company grow, you need to find new people who can get you to a new scale. We were lucky enough to build strong team from the very beginning, because we raised a lot of money from the very beginning. We were able to hire a strong team, plus we already had experience before. So it makes the hiring process so much easier when you have like personal brand or some good experience before. But overall, I think we discussed with my business partner, like, when we were going through the most difficult times, like literally we were like few days to bankruptcy, and we discussed why people stayed, and we came to the conclusion that, well, people like to work in a good company, which means that they like their job, they like the team, the vibe, the energy, they see the fulfillment that they do something meaningful, and they see the results. So Horowitz says that whatever happens with the business, you need to build good company where people want to work. So I think that worked out. First of all, you need to accept it. And you need to understand that it's difficult to hire strong people if you don't have a brand or you don't have something to sell them, to explain why they should join you. I think the best way is to hire people you worked with before. So if you had previous experience, you work for someone, and you definitely have some ex-colleagues who you believe are good. So I think that's, in my first venture that we started, I think maybe first 20 people were someone who we worked with before at Rocket Internet. So I think this is the best way to hire your first team, because people know you and they can join you just because they like working with you, and they trust you can build something, because again, they already saw you working. Same with raising money. I mean, that's why everyone starts with family and friends, because no one trusts you can build something except for the people you know personally. So same in hiring. And then maybe point number 2 is that you should be a good salesperson. This is, again, for someone it's very natural, for someone it's not. So you need to understand whether it's your skill, whether it's a strength. And if you naturally can convince people in something, then probably it's much easier for you to both hire and raise money. Mm-hmm. But that's, again, it's not for everyone. Mm-hmm. You need to understand whether you can do that or not. If you can, then you just need to inspire people to build something new, something big. And what usually works, actually, when you hire people from large companies, is that you offer them to build something from scratch and to be fully responsible for the entire result. Because usually in big companies, people are responsible for something small, and they don't feel that they have contributed in the result of the company. However, you can offer them to build something from zero. Yeah, to be honest, it didn't change anything in terms of how we think about talent, how we hire people. Again, in our case, we keep the team pretty compact. We have just 100 people, which is not a lot. It's pretty compact team. And all C-level people are very hands-on in our case, and we keep it like that. So we never wanted to build, a big hierarchy and, few management layers or something like this. So we have pretty horizontal structure, and every C-level person is actually doer. They can open whatever, programs, the tools. They can basically do the manual work and see all the details, what's happening in the company. So that the way we were building the team initially. That's why when AI comes, nothing changes for us, because AI is just a tool and it's just a matter of how you use this tool. However, I believe for some industries, especially for the legacy industries where people were building, structures of managers who run managers, and then people on the bottom who actually do some things, then in this case, it might change the structure a lot, because you don't need managers with AI and new effective tools that are coming. I believe you would need more general athletes, like people who have pretty wide view and understanding of the needs, and then can use different tools to reach it. When AI started to come, we see that probably software developers less of the red ocean, because it was always the case that strong people in software development, they have a few offers every morning in their inbox. And that was always a stress, to keep them, to ensure that they enjoy working, and et cetera, et cetera. Now I see that is changing, and we see massive layoffs in some companies. So it feels like a change of the trend. For the rest of the roles, I don't see any specific changes. For junior roles, yes. For senior roles, no.
And why the difference?
Well, because for more junior roles, you have more hires, so that you need to have like more standard process, the way you can run more candidates through, and there's a certain way to find who potentially could be the winners. For senior roles, it's cherry picking, and it's usually a manual process. We don't expect any changes in senior team. We have big plans for growing the business. However, our team stays stable at the level of 100 people for the last 3 years, I think, even though the company grew 3 times. So we don't expect any big hires. Yeah, we might just add some operational roles as the business grows. However, not big changes in the team.
How have you achieved this top line growth while keeping headcount flat?
It took us 3 years to figure out how the business works. You can call it looking for product market fit, and then scaling our expertise and processes and the rest. It's just the nature of the business. We sell consumer products in different product categories, and these product categories, they differ in size as well. So once you enter larger and larger size of the niche, you have bigger numbers. However, you don't need bigger team to run it. And when we started the business, we started with a small category, and the first brand that we acquired was $2 million in revenue. The last brand that we acquired was $35 million in revenue. And we continue growing our exposure to larger niches. And this is our long-term strategy. And also, once we call it the infrastructure team, it's like fixed costs that you have, like software engineers, data analysts, finance, HR, legal, something like compliance, something like this, that we call it infrastructure team. You don't scale it when the business grows. So it's economy of scale, and it's the nature of the business when we actually go into larger niches. If you want to build a new generation of global consumer products company, if you want to build something from zero, and something that hopefully will last for many, many decades. And imagine, like, we are 5 years old, but last year there were 10 million people who bought our products, and they use these products every day. I think it's great when there was nothing, and then at some point you understand that you serve tens or hundreds of millions of people. So that's actually pretty cool. And if you want to build something together, then it definitely makes sense to look at our roles.
Finally, if you only had one hiring advice to give to an aspiring founder or a founder who's early on in their journey, what would you tell them?
Do not compromise. Hire for super strengths, not for lack of weaknesses.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, give me it.
Dankjewel. Tea?
Tea.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Chai.